right, support group, it's Whiskey Wednesday, and yes, we are back in the wild. Today, Moc and I are hunting at Randall's Wine and Spirits on South Jefferson, 1910 South Jefferson Avenue, St. Louis. It is family owned, St. Louis staple, operating since 1998, 5 locations deep, which means they've had nearly 3 decades to perfect the art of separating us from our money. Randall's isn't just bourbon, they've got wine, spirits, beer, seltzers, CBD, and THC. Basically a full choose your coping mechanism wall. They host events, do free whiskey samples, which is how I'm just looking turns into, well, that escalated. And casually, they're hosting an allocated bourbon tasting February 26th at 6 p.m. right here at this location with only 8 tickets left. If you had to look at the calendar, that is tomorrow. 8. That's not a tasting. That's a countdown. So today we're walking the aisles, checking the shelves, scanning the glass case like responsible adults with absolutely no impulse control. Moc's with me, which means either calm, rational decision making or we're enabling each other. Welcome to Bourbon Hunter Anonymous. It's not hoarding if it's research. There I am with my meta glasses. There's Moc. He's going with me today, and we are at Randall's Wine and Spirits again here in St. Louis. It is cold. It is windy. And we were up here to go see Phantom of the Opera, but of course, in true Bourbon Hunter Anonymous style, we had to do some of our bourbon hunting. And Randall's was recommended a while back by a friend, Nick, and so it has become one of our favorite spots to go to every once in a while. That's just us walking in, perusing their wine aisle, and of course, Fireball.
There's Fireball.
That's me always making the same joke to my husband. Hey, look, there's Fireball. And our glass case, which I always like to take a scan and just kind of look what they got going on. I like to check the prices. There's Elijah Craig 18.
200 for the 18 here.
That's a lot per kilo. There's
That's
our
actually cheaper than what we're seeing.
double oak Woodford. There's our Blanton's Gold. What was I looking at there? Looks like the Frank August was in there. Some the barrel edition. That is all tequila, and I'm ready to go on to the next spot.
Oh, there's that one. You got
Just
that
looking
one.
at some of the cool dark holiday set that they had down there. Of course, Moc has to bring you back over and show me this cool looking tequila bottle. And I'm like, that's not bourbon. That's not what we're here for. So going back over to our Elijah Craig and then looking at the Big Jake, because I have not heard of that. But I keep seeing it over and over again, and so it is something that I definitely need to look into. The bottle does interest me just because it has the dog heads on it. Switchgrass Spirits. These bottles interest me because they remind me of Orphan Barrel, and just looking at the Bloody Dapper Montgomery Country, I have not done any research on these yet, so I'm not really sure what they are, but I find the bottles very interesting. Of course, we got Four Roses. We have our barrel. Nearest Green, which is not Green River, but at first glance I was like, oh, Green River, and then I was like, oh, no, that's not Nearest Green. Okay, so we have our Woodford Reserve, our Four Roses, just some of our normal C's that we see. Larceny again, H&H, which always makes me giggle when I see it. Bullet, and then this Fighting Cock that I hadn't seen that bottle before, so of course I'd pick it up and see what it was. Nulu, which is not my husband's favorite, so again I like to point it out. And then this pink label, Driftless Glen. So Driftless Glen Pink Label Bourbon Whiskey is a limited edition release of Driftless Glen small batch straight bourbon from Baraboo, Wisconsin, with a pink label produced to raise awareness and funds for breast cancer research. They donate a portion of proceeds. It's based on their flagship bourbon, usually aged 4 years, balanced with caramel, vanilla, oats, and spice notes, and bottled around 96 proof. Me pointing out that empty spot is Castle and Key's weeded version, which has become a favorite. Longbranch, another favorite. We have Wheelhouse Horse 101 there. I'd like to look that up and get some more information on that. Of course, Jack Daniels, Bowman Brothers, Maker's Mark, and then Old Charter. Old Charter number 8 brand, budget Kentucky straight bourbon from Buffalo Trace, 80 proof, easy, light-bodied with vanilla, honey, mild spice, and oak, smooth, simple, everyday mixer. Jack Daniels Wild Turkey 101, and then I saw Old Bardstown and Bardstown. I was asking my husband about it, and we were going back and forth. So Old Bardstown bourbon is Old Bardstown straight bourbon whiskey, classic, budget-friendly Kentucky bourbon. Usually caramel, vanilla, oak, and mild spice at 90 to 101 proof, easy sipping. And then there's Bardstown Bourbon Origins Wheat Series, the wheated and the bottled in bond. And that's from Bardstown Bourbon Company, a newer Kentucky producer known for more premium, innovative expressions with bolder flavor profiles like balanced fruit, oak spice, and sometimes wheated mash bills. Peerless, Baby Jane, Widow Jane, that's 1776. I'd like to look that up because my husband is a huge patriot. Yellowstone Michter's. They have the Sour Mash, the American whiskey. Then we got some Evan Williams. Jefferson, Horse Soldier, very Old Barton. And then I noticed that there was a second Old Barton, so that's why I picked it up to look at it. Early Times.
Very Old Barton.
And then the Jefferson Cat. Is that what it is? Frank August. We've seen this bottle a couple of times. My husband says it's really good, but I don't know a lot about it. So that's just my reminder that the next time I go on a deep dive that I would like to look into that bottle specifically. Frank August.
There's that white label.
Evan Williams, that white label we had talked about in our good bourbons for 55 and under. There's our Green River, the actual one, and not the one that I thought Green Nearest was. RD1, the red label is one of our favorites here. And so that's a good one. Blade and Bow, sitting up there pretty as ever with their key. And then this one I had not seen before. It was like Sneakerhead of some sort. And then our Old Granddad is down there at the bottom, a Rabbit Hole. And they have all the Old Granddad and the 114. And of course I have issues with how they have it on the shelf, so I have to fix it. What my problem is that I don't know. Bib Tucker, Jim Beam. Looks like Silver Star over there to the left. Angel's Envy. Now this one was pretty cool. Called Soldier Valley. So it's the bottle's actually in the shape of a canteen. And I thought this was pretty cool. Soldier Valley Bourbon, a patriotic styled American bourbon sold in a military canteen, typically around 90 proof with oak, spice, and grain notes. And part of a brand that honors veterans and supports veteran causes. Smooth, approachable, and meant as an easy sipper with patriotic theme. So it had some tasty notes of mint, which is not my husband's favorite. So that was the only reason we didn't pick this one up. Of course, Randalls has their line of Penelope, Smoke Wagon. There's our Buffalo Trace sitting there. Blue Note, New Riff, Iron Wheel. And it looks like 1845, Silver Store, McKenna, Jim Beam. 1792 sitting there at the top. I'm starting to see that bottle and bond, the yellow label, quite a bit. And that was my husband just pointing out all the 1792 because we haven't seen them all in one place like that in a minute. Old Forester 1920, which is Moc's favorite of that line outside of 1924 and some of the harder to find ones. And this is where he got excited because we've been talking about this Redwood Empire, and I had told him, you know, my viewers were saying actually the Screaming Titan is the one that he needs to try. And he found this 101 and he was really excited about it. He was asking me about the black label. I was like, well, that's the cast strength that, you know, we had talked about before. And he was just really, really excited. He's like, I think I'm going to get this one. I really want this one. And we were just chatting about that for a minute. You see your Knob Creek 9, Whistle Pig, Basil Hayden, Rebel, and then Yellow Corn, Dickel. Just a lot of our favorite, you know, shelf bottles that we see. There's Town Branch that we had talked about in a previous hunt. Of course, our Sazerac Rye. There's our Willet Rye, the 4-year. Middle West Whiskey. I haven't seen that one before. I need to look that one up too. Now we're getting more into the ryes. The Hard Truth, Redemption. This quarter kind of seemed to start separating the ryes from the regular bourbons over here. Rye is not my husband's favorite again, so we don't spend a lot of time over here, but I did want to just kind of preview for those of you that do like that rye. We did see the Caribou Crossing, and I was surprised to see the price at around $70 because everywhere in Southern Illinois we're seeing $120 or so. So that was nice to see that price is going back down. Peerless, the New Riff, the Woodford, Russell's, just all of those favorites that we love seeing every time. And then it just kind of started going into rum and then vodka. And this is what we picked up from Randalls, that Redwood Empire 101, Longbranch. We actually picked up some of our Woodford Reserve bitters and the Old Forester syrup because my husband wants to start making some old fashions. He's very partial to those. And that was our great trip to Randall. Alright, support group, we did not leave empty-handed. Today's damage, we grabbed Redwood Empire Whiskey 101 because we are nothing if not consistent with our forest-themed decision-making today. And we picked up Longbranch Bourbon for $29. Yes, $29. Considering we usually see it around $45, that's not impulse buying, that's fiscal responsibility, that's budgeting, that's basically a coupon. And since Longbranch is one of Moc's daily drinkers, we had to grab it. You don't leave your dependable porch sipper behind when it's discounted. That would be rude. Randall's treated us right today. Solid selection, solid pricing, and proof that sometimes the real allocated bottle is the one on sale. If you're local, don't forget they've got that allocated tasting coming up tomorrow on Thursday. 8 tickets last we checked. We're not saying you should go, but we're also not saying that. As always, thank you for hunting with us. Remember, it's not a problem. It's inventory management.